Welcome to today's Explainer. We're looking at something incredibly universal, yet honestly, rarely fully understood. Today, we're exploring the hidden effects of chronic stress after 40. Now look, stress is a completely normal part of life. We all face it. But chronic stress, well, that quietly impacts our bodies, our brains, and our overall wellness in ways that a lot of us simply don't recognize until we're running completely on empty. So let me ask you something. Have you ever felt deeply exhausted, even though you haven't actually done much physical work that day? Just take a second here and reflect on your own energy levels lately. Or perhaps, have you ever struggled to focus or felt totally overwhelmed by things that once seemed entirely manageable? If you're not in your head right now, I really want to validate that experience for you. You're not alone, and it's certainly not a personal failing. The real underlying cause for these feelings may actually be stress, operating right there below the surface. There's a vital distinction we need to make here between normal and chronic stress. Stress itself isn't the enemy. Normal, occasional stress is actually pretty helpful. It gives us that push to meet hard deadlines and adapt to life's sudden curveballs. But chronic stress? That's a whole different story. That happens when the body remains under heavy pressure for extended periods of time without getting adequate rest and recovery. And it's incredibly common for this kind of chronic stress to really peak during this specific stage of life. Just consider the accumulating responsibilities after 40. We're balancing demanding careers, we're raising families, managing complex finances, often caring for aging parents, and maybe even navigating some new health concerns of our own. It's a lot, right? This list creates a continuous, heavy feeling of pressure. And the truly tricky part is, this kind of stress doesn't announce itself with a loud alarm. Section 1. The hidden toll, physical and mental. Instead of a dramatic crash, chronic stress works quietly in the background, gradually draining both the body and the mind. The first major effect is fatigue. We usually associate fatigue simply with a lack of sleep. And, well, sleep definitely matters, but chronic stress can be profoundly exhausting all by itself. Think about it. Our bodies were just not designed to remain in a constant state of high alertness. When stress becomes an ongoing, everyday state, your deep energy reserves get completely depleted. This is exactly why you might wake up feeling tired. Your physical body was resting in bed, sure, but your nervous system was still working overtime. Another major hidden effect is brain fog. A lot of adults notice their concentration becomes incredibly fragile during stressful periods. You might forget things or just feel constantly distracted. That's because chronic stress actively competes for your mental resources. When your brain is busy managing stress in the background, it quite literally has less capacity available for attention, focus, and memory. And then, of course, we have sleep quality. Even if you spend enough hours in bed, ongoing stress can severely prevent restorative sleep. You might fall asleep fine, but then find yourself waking up frequently throughout the night, only to face an unrefreshed morning. Improving how we manage our stress is so often the missing key to finally achieving restful sleep. Section 2. The ripple effects, emotional and social. These secondary symptoms of stress silently leak into our daily emotional bandwidth and ultimately our social interactions. Let's talk about irritability. Have you ever noticed that minor frustrations suddenly feel massive when you're under pressure? Small inconveniences feel completely overwhelming, and your temper is significantly shorter than usual. I really want to reassure you here. A shorter temper does not mean you're failing at life. It simply means your internal emotional resources are stretched dangerously thin. We also start to see delayed physical recovery. A lot of us actively try to stay healthy as we age by exercising, which is great, but recovery depends on more than just the physical activity itself. When your stress remains elevated, it becomes significantly harder for your body to restore itself. Your physical recovery is intimately tied to your mental stress levels. This all leads to a very specific, quiet type of exhaustion known as decision fatigue. Every single day requires decisions. Some are small, some are huge. When stress accumulates in your system, just the simple act of making daily choices leaves you feeling completely mentally drained before the day even ends. Reduced motivation is another classic hidden effect. Things you once really enjoyed suddenly feel so much harder to start. We need to completely reframe this. A lack of motivation is not laziness, not at all. It's a critical physiological sign from your body telling you that your mental and emotional energy reserves desperately need replenishment. Finally, in this section, we have strained relationships. When stress is running high, it tends to influence multiple areas simultaneously. Our patience decreases, truly listening to our loved ones becomes so much harder, and frequent misunderstandings just spark out of nowhere. As the saying goes, awareness is not meant to create fear. It's meant to create opportunity. And this is a really powerful pivot for us. We aren't outlining these hidden effects today to cause alarm. We're doing it to shift the narrative from an invisible antagonist to actionable, empowering recovery. Because we absolutely have the power to respond. Section 3. The Power of Recovery. Wearing exhaustion as a badge of honor is simply not sustainable. Healthy aging really requires the wisdom to balance our daily effort with intentional restoration. So, how do we actually restore that balance? Well, it comes down to practical habits that create space for restoration. Things like prioritizing your sleep, walking outdoors and getting some fresh air, engaging in quiet reflection, fostering meaningful relationships, and setting firm, healthy boundaries. These are the everyday tools that build a protective buffer against chronic stress. Section 4. Small changes, big impact. I want to offer a very comforting thought right here. You do not need to redesign your entire life overnight. Honestly, that would just be more stressful. Instead, you can make adjustments one intentional choice at a time. Over time, practicing these small recovery habits really starts to compound. You'll begin to see better, much more sustained energy, sharper focus, vastly improved sleep, and a much greater emotional resilience to handle whatever life happens to throw your way next. If you found this explainer helpful today, please take a quick moment to like, subscribe, and share it with someone in your life who might benefit from some practical ways to support natural aging and energy renewal. It's a small action on your part, but it helps us immensely in bringing these kinds of topics to more people. I want to leave you with this final, memorable thought. Stress is part of life. Living under stress constantly doesn't have to be. Take a deep breath today and give yourself the grace to recover. What is one small boundary you can set right now to begin reclaiming your energy? Think on that, and I will see you in the next explainer.